Welcome back to our podcast this week. We did do a podcast last week, didn't we?
We did.
Yes.
Yeah.
This should be an interesting podcast. We're recording this rather early in the morning, for us, and we're struggling a little bit. We're struggling a little bit.
We're on struggle street today.
Yes, we're on struggle street, and no producer Caroline today.
No, she's had enough.
So it's just Anthony and myself. So this could be interesting.
It's an interesting way of saying bad. It's good. This is misguided.
Yes, oh, hello. There's no one to keep us on track. There's no one to, cut us off when we waffle too much.
There's nothing.
So, welcome to the uncut, uncensored, unadulterated, unintelligent podcast that will be this episode of the podcast. Beer this week, we're drinking the Stoke NPA again. It was so good that we decided we'd go back for round 2, to be fair. So, I can't recommend it. Yeah, I can't recommend it highly enough. It is an awesome, awesome beer.
It is.
Even this early in the morning.
Yes.
All right. So, let's get into what we're going to talk about.
What are we going to talk about today?
That's a very good question.
We're already off the rails.
So I wanted to talk about a couple of things that I've just come up with.
Did you? Well, this is news to me.
Yeah. No. I think there's a couple of things we should talk about. So the first one I wanted to talk about was I think this is rather funny. There's this thing that's sort of going around at the moment with lots of countries turning around and being like, we want Jacinda Ardern as our leader. She's amazing. Blah 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 blah.
Also
blah.
not.
That's the kind of person we want for our leader. And the thought sort of occurred to me that I bet you people like that exist in those countries, in Australia, America, those kinds of places. They exist. It's not that they're not there. It's not that they're not involved in politics. It's not that whatever. It's just that you don't vote for them.
Yep.
So, funnily enough, you get the leaders that you vote for.
That's right.
And, well, the slightly ironic thing is we didn't vote for Jacinda.
It's true. The wonders of UMP.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Democracy in action.
But I mean, she has. That's not taking.
It's worked out really well.
Yeah.
It has worked
That's not
out
taking anything away from her because she's done a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
But it's just I always think that's
just quite funny.
Because, yeah. But you get who you vote for. If your leader's a twit, then
you vote them out.
You voted for them.
If you don't mind your leaders committing high treason, then you kind of get what you pay for, don't you?
Sometimes quite literally.
Yeah, sometimes quite literally. Yeah.
No, I just that was a little shower thought that I had this morning.
That's a good one.
The other thing that Anthony and I were talking about, and we actually talked a little bit about this last week, not on the podcast, but we were talking about this a little bit. This came about after a comment that was made to me at one stage. I'm not going to say who made the comment or anything.
Do it. No. This is
just burn all the bridges.
This is what happens when Caroline's
yes,
not here.
yeah.
We lose any sense of decorum or etiquette.
Yeah. That's right.
Number one on our hit list
for libel.
Yeah.
No, somebody made a comment to me the other day, and they said, I really enjoyed working with you, in spite of your reputation.
Oof.
And I was like, oh, okay, it's a backhanded compliment, shall we say?
Very much so.
And I was a little bit surprised by this. Like, I was a little bit surprised by this. No. I was a little bit surprised by this because I was sort of like, I didn't think I had a reputation. Not a poor reputation. No. I didn't think I had a poor reputation. No. And so I sort of drilled down into you know me, never backwards about coming forwards.
Yeah.
You know, so the first thing I said was, well, what do you mean by my reputation? Like, what you know? Oh no, it doesn't matter. No. What do you actually mean by by that? And they told me what it was, and it was something completely ludicrous, right? It's actually completely ludicrous,
and I can actually attest to that.
I'm not going to say what it is, but it was completely ludicrous.
But, yeah, I can attest to it being ludicrous.
And what was really funny was I was like, and then again a while later somebody else said something very similar to me.
Is that right?
Yes, about the same thing. So apparently this has now become a thing.
Yeah.
And it sort of made me wonder a little bit. I mean, I have to say, my first reaction was to get a bit like sort of... I was upset about it. It actually quite got to me because I've always tried very hard. I mean, I don't think it's bad to say we're talking in a theatrical situation here.
No.
I've always tried very hard to be an easy person to work with. In a cast or in a production team or whatever. I've always tried to be an easy person to work with. And I thought, it got to me. It got to me to begin with. It sort of really threw me a little bit.
Well, as much as people like to say that they don't care what other people think,
no,
anyone who says that, we do, we innately do as human beings. We do care,
and you have a gut reaction to it. Yeah, you have a gut reaction to it. Where you're like, oh, okay. And I thought about this, and then I thought, the really bizarre thing is that the people that had told these people this, or people that had told these people it, are people I've never worked with.
No, who don't even know you.
Who don't even know me. Like, I know that. I think one of the people I've met literally once for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And not even in a context in which this would make sense.
Yeah.
And so then I got angry about it because I was like, well, how dare you? I mean, I don't know you. And I've always tried to I've always had this thing where I try not to badmouth other people. I'm not going to say that I never do it. I do. However, my caveat on that is I will only ever talk about people I know and in contexts that I've personally had dealings with them. So, I didn't appreciate that they did this to me or whatever. Because I feel I can talk about that, and I have a right to talk about that. Like,
when you've had first-hand experience.
Yeah. Look, they may be awesome or whatever, but this was my interaction with them. And I got really angry because I was like, I've had no interactions with you in this context at all. Like, you don't know me. I'm literally, we have passed a handful of words between ourselves. And after I got over the being upset about it and then being angry about it, and then, I sort of sat there and I thought, well, the proof is in the pudding, yeah? So if people are working with me and going, oh, I really enjoyed working with you in spite of your reputation.
Yeah, in spite of
your reputation.
Yeah.
Then they're going, oh, well, obviously that's not true, if you know what I mean? Like, but it sort of begs the question, or begged the question in my mind, how much are we at times responsible for, or how much can we own our own reputation? So what I mean by that is that, I mean, obviously, if you're doing things and they're awful and you get a bad name for yourself for doing things, then, you've earned your reputation. But, I mean, people are always going to talk shit about you.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But how much is it our responsibility to confront that? So, if somebody talks shit about you, is it your responsibility to then go around and be like, actually, this is not true, and like, that sort of stuff?
Or are you making it more of a thing by doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a really interesting conversation in terms of because we exist in a way that we give an imprint of ourselves to other people. So we're sort of these vessels, if you will. I mean, for what, that depending on your interaction with other people, you imprint a version of yourself to that person. And then they form an opinion about you based on that interaction or interactions. And, at the risk of getting slightly Alan Wattsy or whatever about it. But, like, it is very much it's really interesting how you can get from that point where you have a very, very different perception to some people based on interactions with them to others. I guess my personal take on it is that if I think if people are talking about you in a context where they don't even know you, then those people are probably don't have a whole lot going on in their own lives. And I don't even mean that in a nasty way. I mean, because if you really feel the need, if you really have the time to really get into someone based on heresy or whatever you've heard from other people, then why? So there's a few reasons. I think, in my opinion, there's a few reasons why people will often say bad things about other people. There's the age-old thing where people put down other people to lift themselves. Second is envy and jealousy. I mean, jealousy is a really big thing, especially in the entertainment arena. And unfortunately, we're all guilty of it. Quite often, people will put down other people because they want to diminish their accomplishments.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's really common. That's something that we've both personally experienced quite a bit of, but it's something that you sort of learn to I don't want to say be hard about, because that's a...
But you kind of do.
Yeah,
like,
you do. You do
really become hardened. You do really...
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about, all of the wonderful things in theatre and everything else like that. And look, my show finished last night, hence the mustache is gone. Gone.
Liberated.
And, as soon as the curtain came down. Theatre can be wonderful. It really can. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed 39 Steps. I enjoyed the the wonderful people that I worked with and that sort of stuff. And generally, that's been my time in theatre. Generally, I've really enjoyed the people that I've worked with, all of those kinds of things. However, you do learn to become quite hard to criticism and to people saying things about you. Which is, I suppose, what really threw me about this is because normally I'm like, oh, for God's sake, like, whatever.
Because it's usually from people that actually...
like, oh, for God's sake. And it wasn't even who this person... It wasn't even who this person was that worried me. Because I was like, well... It
doesn't...
I don't know you. I have no interaction. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I just guess that it was people actively going to people that I was working with. And saying, hey, this is, and
it's almost like sabotage, isn't it?
I would like to think that it wasn't, I'd like to think it wasn't incredibly malicious. I'd like to think that it was,
I think you're giving them way too much.
Sort of an offhand comment about something.
Yeah. Just something that...
But it's just this sort of... it surprises me because it's been a thing. Like, what it was didn't particularly surprise me, and it's not because I'm like that. It's because it's not the first time I've heard something similar. And it really is, and it has nothing to do with me being difficult to work with. It really is something that I understand that there is a big area for misunderstanding, and there's a big area for misinterpretation, I suppose, of things. But when you actually sit down and look at, what's actually happened, it's completely untrue. But it seems to keep coming up.
Yeah,
I'm like, how much is it? Like I can deal with it and be okay with it and be like, right, okay, well, clearly, that's whatever, and it's not true, and I know it's not true, and that sort of stuff. And people who've ended up working with me know that's not true. But how much is it my responsibility to confront that? So to go out, do you know what I mean? Like, if I own that, does that then in some way make it legitimate? Like, if I go out and go, hey, look, you're probably gonna hear X, Y, and Z about me. I'd like to assure you that that's not true.
But then the fact that you've said that means that you've legitimized it.
Yeah. So you sort of get caught between this rock and a hard place thing. Where you're like, if I go out there and go, look, this is not true, all I'm doing is adding, fuel to that particular rumor or whatever. If I don't, then I'm just am I just passively sort of allowing this to continue?
So is it sort of one of those situations where I think there's definitely a lesson to be learnt here. Like, for example, I have, and I'm sure you have too, countless times over the last few years, I have met people who I had only heard of through other people or heard about. And almost every single time, I'd say about 99% of the time, every time I met these people, they were actually really lovely.
Yeah.
Like, really good, well, I mean, from what I could tell, good people.
Yeah.
And you spend so much time building up a caricature of this person that you've heard about or that you know of sort of esoterically or whatever. So you sort of build up this sort of a caricature because, and this happens a lot actually, where this is really common is, for example, when people have for want of a less sort of high school term, but like a crush on someone. You build up an image of that person that is no way reflective of who they actually are.
Yeah.
So, like, in this case, of course, in terms of reputation, there's been countless times. I mean, I'm sure you've had it too. You've met someone and gone, "Oh, wow, you're actually
really nice."
I mean, what was I? I mean, and it proves time and time again. Don't be your own person and make up your own mind about people.
Yeah, I always try to.
I think you can only be nice to other people.
Yeah, I always try to take it with a grain of salt whenever anybody tells me about about somebody else. And I would just like to clarify, because I just realized, like, in sort of talking about this in a secretive way, it's nothing horrific. Like,
no.
It's nothing. It's
fairly innocuous.
It's not even anything that's that bad.
No,
like,
it's not. It's not.
It's reasonably innocuous.
It's more annoying than anything.
It's just annoying.
Yeah.
True. I was something like, people going, "Ooh, I wonder what it is." Like, it's nothing horrific.
The rumor is James kills at least two cast members every show.
Yeah.
And hides the bodies somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was like, all of a sudden I thought, God, I better clarify that it's not something horrific.
No,
it's relatively innocuous.
It is.
It's just irritating, which is another one of those things. Like, and here's the thing. Look, I know, like, to a certain extent, that if it really annoyed me, I could, I suppose, go and be like, look, I don't know, sue them for defamation or libel or whatever. But like, libel's in print, isn't it? I can never remember. Yeah, defamation. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, not that I'm good at it, but at the end of the day, what do you call it? It's way too small a thing for that. Do you know what I mean?
You get the Streisand effect.
Yeah.
So the Streisand, if you guys aren't familiar with it, so the Streisand effect is a journalism term that's come up because Barbara Streisand bought a new home, and because she didn't want anyone to know where it was or anything, she put out a what do you call it, a gag order on the location and photos. Photos. I think it was specifically photos of the house. And but of course, because she was trying to hide it, people really wanted to know what it was. They were like, wow. Like, you know, the more you try and hide something, you make it like really really interesting. She made it a thing. Yeah. No one would have probably really cared that much if she had just sort of let it happen. But because she tried so hard to hide it, it made it a thing. So everyone went after it. So that's why,
Yes. Good. That's making me feel better. No, but like no, it's true. But I'm not going to go and sue people or that sort of stuff. It's not.
Do it.
I mean, it's nowhere near on that level.
Caroline's not here to stop you.
Yes, that's right. Caroline's literally the only reason I'm not. No. Like, and it's nothing that's particularly damaging or like it's just irritating.
It is.
And it just really annoyed me. And to be fair, I actually avoided somebody after the show. Because this was the person that had been saying these things. And I actually avoided them because I figured that, confronting them after... Because I'm not good at not confronting people. Like, if you've said something about me, I will stand there in front of everybody and be like, so... I hear that you've been saying X, Y, and Z. Because I'm like, no, bugger. If you're going to say stuff like that to people, then I'll have it out with you.
Well, I mean, you've got to be able to own those words. You've got to.
Yeah, I'll be like, I hear you've been saying this. Yeah. But I figured that.
Who'd you been doing smack?
Yeah. Like God. But I was like, that's probably not the best situation to do that in.
No.
But yeah, I don't know, and I don't know that there is an answer in terms of how much you own it. And
there is an answer.
Okay.
I've got the answer.
Okay, have you? Okay, give me the answer.
So you may have noticed this. It depends. I'm not sure.
It's a good start to the answer.
Good sentence. Can we put that into the greatest hits?
I think so, yeah.
James and I have always been pretty bad at letting go of things that we can't control. So it frustrates us.
Of the sentence,
yeah. So it frustrates us to no end when there's stuff that happens that we have a problem with, that we have no control over. And we wind ourselves up silly about it. We do. We wind each other. And actually, because of the way that we are, because of our personalities, and because of how we wind each other up, I think, as well, which makes it even worse. Because, and so the answer's actually probably, I mean, I'm not going to say this is the definitive answer, but probably to keep trying to not let things that are out of your control upset you, because you can't necessarily do anything. I mean, sure, you can confront people, and that's probably a good thing. You probably actually should. You should say, hey, look, heard you said this. Nice to meet you, by the way. Yeah. Big fan of your work. Big fan of your work. I've heard a lot about me through you, and it's great. Yeah. But you can confront stuff. But at the end of the day, you can't control a lot of these things about what other people say, and we waste a lot. I'm sure all of us do this. We all waste so much energy that could be used elsewhere, and a lot of it is tiring, I think, exhausting.
And this is what I was coming to, is that this has actually taken up hours for me this week. of
headspace.
being of headspace of
Yeah.
being at times upset about it, angry about it, thinking about it. It's taken up huge amounts of my time, and now it's taken up the start of our podcast. Like you know what I mean? Like it's for something that's so innocuous, but it really does. So I don't know, and I tend to agree with you that people are always going to say things or say things to other people or whatever that aren't true about you. And to a certain extent, you don't have any control over that. I suppose if it became a bigger issue, I would take more of an affront with it. I guess that it's just the first time that I've been working in areas where people have come to me and gone, "Oh, I'd heard this about you," and so that irritates me slightly. It grates me slightly. It's the theatrical and musical community here is small enough that
so
like
small. That's what cracks me up.
Things
Is
get back to
they
you.
get back to you. It's it's unbelievable. This
So
stuff.
I suppose it's the first time I've really heard it, and it just irritated me. But as I said, I mean, people are always going to say things, and to a certain extent, you should be able to brush them off and go, oh, well,
We're only human.
That's your opinion, and that's that's what you want to do.
We're human, though.
But all I would say is please be very careful when you're talking about people, and sometimes it's really easy to jump on a bandwagon. Because ultimately we want to feel like we fit in, right? And if we're with a group of people who dislike a person or have had negative interactions with people, it's quite easy to jump on that bandwagon and be like, oh yeah, I heard that, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that you limit your comments to other people. Well, I mean, you should be limiting your comments on other people as much as possible anyway, especially if they're negative. But you limit your comments to... Well, my personal thing is, whether this is good or not, I don't know. My personal thing is, I generally won't talk about somebody that I've had negative interactions with unless, one, I'm specifically asked.
Yeah.
So somebody specifically says to me, hey, what do you think of such and such? And not in an offhand way, is asking me for information. So I will... Two, I always put in a caveat of this is my personal experience with them. Maybe there's a bias here, maybe there's a whatever, but this is my personal experience with them. Three, I only stick to stuff I know, that I have personally experienced and their interactions with me. And I try not to extrapolate off that into what kind of person they are or how they can sleep at night or whatever. Like here have been their interactions with me because of this. I maybe wouldn't work with them, or we're never going to be the best of friends or whatever. But which means that if I ever get confronted in a theatrical lobby somewhere and somebody says, I hear you've said this about me, if I've actually said it, I'd be quite happy to turn around and go, yeah,
I did, yeah.
I did, because here was the interaction that I had with you. That, I didn't like. That's what happened.
Exactly.
So I have no bones about that. So I think be really careful.
Yeah.
Be really careful, because while you may
definitely.
not be able to control, your own reputation to a certain extent, you can certainly harm or control the reputation of others.
Exactly. And do you really want to be that person? Do you really want to be that person?
Nobody likes being around people who are negative all the time either.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. Yeah. 100%.
People who bitch about people all the time, nobody wants to be around them.
And what people think as well,
the time.
The first thing people think when you're like that, they think, I wonder what they're like about me
whenever I'm not around.
Whenever I'm not around. So just remember that whenever, you're it might feel good to, you get some sort of dopamine release every time.
Life is too short to hang around with people that have got nothing better to do than bitch about stuff.
Exactly.
Like, there's far more interesting things out there and far more interesting stuff going on. And people are inherently, I think, interesting.
Yeah.
And I'd far rather hear about that than what they think about Joe Blogs that I don't really know.
Definitely, yeah.
You know?
I mean, really, get a life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Managed to come up with something. That was pretty...
Not bad,
All right. Cool. So, moving right along to Uncanny Valley. And I found a couple of interesting little articles this week for Uncanny Valley. I'm actually going to turn my Wi-Fi off because otherwise this is not going to work very well. So this is a news story out of Australia for you. So this news story is
a good start.
It is a very good start. I think this is an amazing article. Man who claimed supervisor bullied him by farting at him loses compensation claim. David Hinkst claimed his former supervisor would thrust his bum at him and break wind in a sustained campaign of malicious flatulence.
A sustained campaign.
It gets better. An Australian man who claimed his supervisor bullied him by farting at him several times a day has lost a multi-million-dollar compensation.
Multi-million!
David Hingst demanded his former employer, Construction Engineering, pay out $1.8 million in damages.
1.8
The engineer alleged that his former supervisor, Greg Short, repeatedly broke wind inside their windowless communal office, forcing him to move to a new office space. The situation continued, however, as Mr. Short would enter his new office and fart in his presence. He would fart behind me and walk away. He would do this 5 or 6 times a day. Firstly, if you're farting that often, sustained on command, that's impressive.
It is.
He thrusted.
What's his diet?
He thrusted. There's a good word. He thrusted his bum at me while he was at work. He claimed Mr. Short's actions were intended to get rid of him. He said he suffered psychological damage.
Oh, no. This is too good.
A court previously heard that the
Is
claimant...
this not The Onion?
No, this is a legitimate article.
Incredible.
A court previously heard that the claimant had called his boss Mr. Stinky and sprayed deodorant at him. The state of Victoria's Court of Appeal upheld a previous ruling against the plaintiff and said that breaking wind at colleagues did not necessarily amount to bullying. Mr. Hingst claimed that his employer had bullied him by firing him in 2009, but the firm said the global economic downturn that year was responsible for the termination for the employment. The former engineer says he will now appeal the ruling in Australia's High Court. Wow. So this is the second trial, right? So he's gone through the trial. It was said no, it's not bullying. He's now the appeals court, and it's been turned down, and he's now like, no, I'm going to the High Court. This guy keeps farting at me in my windowless office.
In a malicious campaign.
Of malicious flatulence.
It'd be one way. It'd be a great way to end an argument. Just
fart on people.
Or at people. In their general direction.
I love though too how he moves to a new office and it's like, and then apparently supervisor just kept coming in and farting in his new office.
How is that just not funny?
I love that he's claiming $1.8 million.
How on earth do you justify $1.8 million?
Psychological damage.
How on earth do you justify that?
They must have been some farts, I tell you.
I know. Jeez, what is he eating?
Oh, I don't know.
1.8 million.
This is slightly sad, but funny at the same time.
Oh no. It's just going to be one of those things where we come across really insensitive. That makes me nervous.
Grieving dad
Uh-huh.
told police his daughter was killed by son-in-law's huge penis.
What?
Police then forced the humiliated husband to show his genitalia in front of the late woman's relatives. So a man mourning the sudden death of his 23-year-old wife, okay, which is sad. That's the sad part of this, is that his 23-year-old wife died suddenly, was forced to show cops his penis after his father-in-law claimed it was so big that it had killed his daughter during sex.
What?
Cops brought the son-in-law, named only as Barsa, in for questioning and asked him to show them his penis in front of his late wife's grieving relatives.
Oh my god, in front of his relatives.
Only to discover it was of normal size.
That would be so... Your ego would just plummet. Oh no, that's pretty average.
You couldn't have killed anyone with that. So Nito Sita...
What would have been the size that would have...
I don't know.
You know what?
At what point does it constitute a murder weapon?
Oh.
So Nidi Sito, 55, of the village of Marinkildil in the Marian district of Indonesia's East Java province, had called the police following the sudden death of his daughter. The young woman was found dead in her bed after suffering an apparent epileptic fit during the night.
Oh, epileptic.
Right, so she had an epileptic fit. She
clearly
died.
Unrelated.
Yeah, but Mr. Sito had heard rumours his son-in-law accidentally killed her during sex with his huge penis and reported it to the police.
Oh my god. Of all the things to have a reputation for it.
Barsa was then asked to show officers his genitals with members of the grieving family and village officials looking on as witnesses.
Oh my god.
Probolinggo Police Crime Investigation Unit said after seeing directly the genitalia that was thought to be oversized, it turned out to be of the standard size.
Standard.
So right there and then, the father-in-law dropped the report and apologised to each other. Mr. Sito said the family had now accepted that she died from epilepsy, which she'd suffered from the age of 14.
Wait, they accepted that she'd died of epilepsy?
Yes, the family did.
But
the family
was,
did.
But
now that he'd proved... Now, yes, she
case.
suffered from epilepsy since 14.
And she had an epileptic fit.
And died. Yes, and so the family have now accepted...
But they've now accepted
that she's died of epilepsy, and not her husband's giant killer penis.
Wow.
How bizarre is that?
That is very bizarre. Because you just... I'm glad that's... That's the conclusion they come to after the epileptic fit.
But I love that we had to go through the point that the father-in-law reported it, was so determined that it was like her husband's, his son-in-law's,
He was obviously obsessed. He was
his
obviously
huge
obsessed with
penis
it.
that killed his daughter, that he took him to the police to get him to take off his trousers in front of family, police, village elders to see how big his penis was and whether it could potentially have killed his daughter or
After having had established that it was epileptic fit. It was epilepsy.
Yeah.
Okay, this didn't happen in isolation. She had an epileptic fit.
Mm-hmm. Which she suffered from the age of 14. So it's not like it's the first ever...
No.
She's never had a fit before. She's never...
But then they had to check. What? Oh. This is what reputation can do.
Yeah, you see, there you go. Start spreading rumours about people's giant penises and suddenly you're being hauled into the police station to, justify that you haven't killed people.
That is like a
How insane is that?
That is crazy. Oh,
can you imagine being the chief chief inspector, right? And having to pull this person in and going, sorry, we're arresting you. What are you arresting me for? For the potential murder of your wife. Yes. Okay, take him down. Now, sir, we have reason to believe that you killed your wife with your massive, massive penis. So in order to put this to bed, so to speak, you're going to have to show us your penis. I mean, can you imagine a police officer pulling you into court?
Your wife has just died.
Your wife has just died.
Your wife has just
And
died.
a police officer
You're
pulling you
obviously
into the
grieving.
police station and going, the only way we can clear this up is if you show me your penis.
God. That's just the...
No, but not just me. We have to show it to,
To, like,
village
everyone.
elders. And,
And
the
for
family
some
and,
reason,
like,
the family.
Yes.
They need closure on this. They need closure on this. I think the father-in-law was just obsessed. Oh.
All right, cool. Let's move along. These are 2 articles for today.
They were
Restores your faith in humanity.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so we...
A sustained campaign.
Malicious
flatulence.
Malicious flatulence. I love that. A sustained campaign of malicious flatulence.
Stunning work. Well, we
All
don't,
right.
because we don't have producer Caroline here.
I've got a little timer here for us.
Yeah, James has had to whip together a timer.
Some people are just like so lazy. I tell you, like, producer Caroline just,
Where is she? Actually, really, where is she? Like,
Could be hauled into a police station soon.
yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Right. Okay. So, you went first last time, isn't it? So it's me first. This time.
Yes, correct, Amondo.
Okay.
30-second waffle.
Well, this one comes from Monika.
All
On
right.
Discord. This should be interesting. Explain why Christopher Eccleston is a far better Doctor Who than David Tennant.
Fantastic question.
Oh,
That's rough.
Christopher Eccleston is a far better Doctor than David Tennant because he was more unrelatable. So he came across as being far more alien than David Tennant did. David Tennant, and the reason David Tennant was so popular was because he was so relatable. People saw him as being, some cool guy that waltzed in. Christopher Eccleston wasn't. He was definitely alien. He was definitely different, and so embodied Doctor Who.
Nice. That was really good.
Category. Oh! It beats.
Time's up. Yeah.
It's categorically untrue.
That was really good. That was really good.
It would have been harder if it had been Matt Smith. Matt Smith is my favourite Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're one. Right.
Okay.
Upstage hand. See, I remember my stage directions every now and then.
Every now and then. So this is from Discord. Love you, Ant.
Okay. What's the question? We need to know the question.
Why Kid A is the worst Radiohead album?
Oh.
That. Kid A is a failed attempt at an experimental album following the commercial success of OK Computer, which launched Radiohead into superstardom. So instead of producing more great rock music, they went down the pretentious road of producing a electronic, difficult, avant-garde album that tried too hard to sound revolutionary and didn't try hard enough to actually sound good or melodic.
You're upset. Okay.
Kid A is probably the best Radiohead album. I'm upset now.
That was a great question.
It was a very good question.
Two very good questions off the bat.
It's probably their best album.
All right, come on. Let's see how we go. Oh no! Oh Jesus Christ! This is from you.
Oh.
Justify why Adam Sandler is the greatest actor of our generation. Adam Sandler is the greatest actor in our generation as long as the metric that you are looking at is commercial success. So Adam Sandler has put out so so many movies. And in fact, his movies are successful at exactly what he wants them to be successful at, which is him and his mates getting together, having a laugh, and travelling to exotic locations. So he is the greatest actor of our generation because that's all he does movies for.
Just having a laugh. That was good. That was really good. That was a hard question. You did really well.
Adam Sandler is a terrible actor. Adam Sandler plays Adam Sandler. And as long as you're going to go along and see a film about Adam Sandler, that's fine. And I'm not saying he hasn't made some good ones. He has, like Happy Gilmore's a good film.
Not as good as Caddyshack, though.
Caddyshack, yeah, is a much better film. But yeah, Happy Gilmore was good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something else I really liked him in.
Little Nicky.
I actually didn't mind Little Nicky.
I didn't either.
I know, like, people rap on Little Nicky all the time, and I'm like, it's not as bad as that. It's fun.
Sometimes you just want McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's
Waterboy was okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't think you ever walk out of an Adam Sandler film going, that was great. That was a great film. No. I loved it.
Oh, 50 First Dates.
Yeah, that was
Which is actually fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah, it's a cool concept.
But I think that's it, isn't it? Like, you walk out of an Adam
Barrymore.
You walk out of an Adam Sandler film generally going, yeah, it was fun.
It's a movie you go out to go and see with a friend or significant other, and you just sort of you don't have to think.
When you don't want to concentrate too hard on plot, when you're not like...
Yeah, and there's a place for that. There's a place for that. You know, every movie doesn't have to be, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis swiping Oscars left and right and centre. Or like some really deep... you know, every movie... It would be exhausting if every film you saw, you were sort of had to unpackage the layers of meaning and depth, you know?
He's kind of the sitcom actor of movies, isn't he?
Totally,
it's that movie that you can sit down and kind of go, yeah, as you said, don't want to think. I just want something kind of on in the background as I'm doing bits and pieces. Yeah.
Adam, he was very good in on SNL as well. He actually had some really good skits on SNL.
He's a good comedian.
Yeah,
like
he can play the guitar too. I think he had one about.
Yeah. He's written some very funny songs.
Yeah. This is.
Sim Breezy.
It's got your name on it though. James?
Yeah, no, that's for me. Alright.
Oopsie.
That was an oopsie. Right, let's try.
Oopsie.
I obviously won't be answering that question now.
Ant. I think this is from James.
It is from me.
Aston Villa is the best football team in the league. Aston Villa is apparently the best team in the league. Which league, James? The Championship, second division of English football. Well, they're categorically... Aston Villa have a long history of... they always bounce back. They are one of the greatest underdog stories. They always bounce back. They may drop down to Championship. They'll always... And actually, I think after Everton, they've spent the most time in the top division of English football. That's it.
Well done.
They have. They've spent the most time in the top division after Everton and Liverpool and Manchester United. But they're up there. They're top 5, I think, from memory.
Well done. Well done.
They're not even in the top of the Championship. They're struggling right now.
I knew you'd enjoy that one.
It's hard work.
Right. Well, that pretty much brings us to an end.
Yeah.
We managed to get through a whole podcast without producer Caroline.
I know. I felt really...
We haven't set anything on fire.
No.
There's no...
Well, not yet.
There's still a few seconds.
There's still time.
Yes.
Still time to...
So, come and join us. Yeah. Come and join us on our streams.
Yes.
We're streaming, well, for us this afternoon. For you guys 2 days ago.
Special announcement.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a special announcement. Wednesday, 7:30 p.m.
Yes.
The Esoterica Minecraft server is finally going live after much anticipation. It's happening.
Uh-huh.
You heard it here first. Or you might have heard it here second. I don't know. We might have already
Talked
said
about
it on
the
Discord.
stream. Yeah.
Or talked about it on the stream. But it's happening. It's happening. Lock it in. Put it in your diaries. For those who still use diaries, it's really strange. Put it in your phone.
I'm looking forward to it. 7:30 Wednesday.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I'm really excited. The guys have put in a lot of work, and shout out to Ted Starr for that. He's done an amazing job. And I know people like Sky Gamer have helped out in testing it and stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. Again, this is another one of those things that we keep talking about when we talk about the Discord community and that sort of stuff. Like, here's two people that have put in like a huge amount of effort.
They have. They really have.
To get this up and running, just because, you know,
well,
they enjoy this sort of community. So I think that's really cool. And so if you haven't joined us, come and join us on Discord. Check the bottom if you're on YouTube for all of the links to all of our social media. But honestly, Discord is probably the best way to find us. Come and see us on Twitch, streaming Prey and Alien Isolation. So we're heading through those. Tell us your thoughts on what sort of games you'd like to see us play going forward. And also Esoterica merch coming soon.
Yes, coming soon.
So watch this space.
Very ominous.
Yes. Awesome. So thank you for joining us. Producer Caroline didn't. She had better things to do.
Things are getting a bit rough when even producer Caroline can't be bothered being in here. No, she no. In all seriousness, if you're she's very ill today, so she didn't look too good. You're just struggling, she's struggling, but that's okay. Sometimes we have those days when we're not feeling very well. So
hopefully by the time you hear this, she'll be better again.
Yeah.
And we will see you online.
See you then. Thanks, guys.